Stop. Before you go out and drop 35 grand on the 2026 Hyundai Tucson just because it looks futuristic, you need to hear this. The Mazda CX-5 is finally, and I mean finally, all new for 2026. But there is a massive catch with the new Mazda engine that nobody is talking about, and it might actually force you to buy the Hyundai. The compact SUV segment is a bloodbath right now. For years, the story was simple. You bought the Tucson for space and tech, and you bought the CX-5 if you actually liked driving but didn't care about legroom. But for 2026, the script has completely flipped. Mazda has built a bigger, tech-heavy SUV that's gunning specifically for the Tucson's crown. Today, we are going to tear these two apart, category by category, to see which one actually deserves your hard-earned money. And trust me, the winner is not who you think it is. Let's start with the visuals, because this is where the biggest changes have happened. For 2026, the Hyundai Tucson is largely carrying over the design refresh it got in 2025. It's still rocking that parametric dynamics design language. You've got that wild front grille where the daytime running lights are literally hidden inside the triangular geometric patterns. When the car is off, it looks like dark chrome. When it's on, it lights up like a spaceship. It's distinct, it's bold, and honestly, it's aging pretty well. The Tucson sits 182.7 inches long, 73.4 inches wide, and about 66.3 inches tall. It has a presence, but it's definitely trying hard to look techy. Now, look at the 2026 Mazda CX-5. This is the third generation, and it is a completely different animal. Mazda has finally ditched the old platform. The new 2026 Mazda CX-5 has grown significantly. It is now roughly 183.6 inches long. That is a 4.5-inch increase over the old model. It's also wider now at 73.1 inches. Styling-wise, Mazda has moved away from the curvy, organic shapes of the last decade and adopted the chiseled look of its big brother, the CX-90. The front nose is flatter and more upright. The grille is wider, and the headlights are these aggressive, thin LED slits that look dead serious. And here is a detail that might annoy the purists. On the rear tailgate, the classic Mazda owl logo is gone, replaced by the word MADSA spelled out across the back. It looks premium, almost like a Range Rover, but it's definitely a departure. The wheels on the Tucson XRT and Limited trims are these intricate alloy designs, usually 19 inches, that look great but are a pain to clean. The Mazda is offering new multi-spoke 19-inch wheels that look machined and very expensive. If you park them side by side, the Tucson looks like a concept car from a sci-fi movie, while the new CX-5 looks like a luxury vehicle that costs $20,000 more than it actually does. Mazda has stretched the wheelbase by 3 inches, pushing the wheels further to the corners. This doesn't just look better, it completely changes the stance of the car. It looks planted, heavy, and expensive. The Tucson has short overhangs and looks sporty, but the Mazda now has that long hood proportion that screams rear-wheel drive, luxury, even though, spoiler alert, it's still based on a front-wheel drive architecture. So, who wins the exterior? If you want to turn heads at a stoplight with crazy lights, it's the Hyundai. But if you want your neighbors to think you got a promotion at work, the new boxier, sharper Mazda CX-5 takes the win here. Step inside, and the war continues. This is where Mazda has historically crushed everyone, but Hyundai has been catching up fast. The 2026 Tucson interior is built around an open concept. The dashboard sits low, which is great for visibility. The materials are okay. On the Limited trim, you get leather-trimmed seats and some soft-touch plastics on the upper dash. But once you start poking around the center console or the lower door panels, you find that hard, scratchy plastic that reminds you this is still a budget-friendly SUV. The seats are wide and flat, very comfortable for long highway cruises if you're a bigger person, but they don't hold you in place very well. Now let's talk about the new 2026 CX-5. Mazda has completely redesigned this cabin. The old CX-5 felt like a glove, tight, sporty, but cramped. The new one, it's a lounge. Because of that longer wheelbase, the cabin feels noticeably airier. The materials in the Mazda are ridiculous for this price point. We are talking about Nappa leather available on the higher trims, real wood trim accents, and aluminum speaker grills that feel cold to the touch. The dashboard design is minimalist and horizontal. The stitching on the dash, the weight of the turn signal stock, the dampening of the glove box latch, it all feels German. It feels like an Audi. But the biggest news, and I need you to listen to this if you have kids, is the rear seat. The old CX-5 was notorious for having terrible legroom. If you were 6 feet tall, your knees were buried in the front seat. For 2026, thanks to that 3-inch wheelbase stretch, the rear legroom has expanded massively. You can actually fit a rear-facing child seat back there now without moving the front passenger seat into the dashboard. The Tucson still has a slight edge in pure volume. It feels a tiny bit wider at the shoulders, and the panoramic sunroof on the Hyundai seems to let in more light, making it feel larger. But the seats in the Mazda are superior. They use high-density urethane foam that isolates vibration better than the Hyundai's foam. After a 4-hour drive, your back is going to feel better in the Mazda. However, the Tucson has one trick: storage. The center console in the Hyundai is open and massive. You can fit a small purse or a giant bag of snacks down there. The Mazda prioritizes style, so the center console is wide and tall, which looks cool, but there's less usable cubby space for your junk. If you want utility and open space, the Tucson is still good. But if you want to feel like you're sitting in a luxury car, the 2026 CX-5 is in a completely different league. This is where the new CX-5 pulls a complete 180 on us. For years, Mazda refused to give us touchscreens. They forced us to use that little rotary knob down by the shifter, insisting it was safer. Well, for 2026, they finally caved. The new CX-5 features a massive 15.6-inch touchscreen. It is huge. It's the largest screen Mazda has ever put in a car. And yes, it comes with Google built in. That means you have Google Maps natively running on the car, you have the Google Assistant, and you can download apps from the Play Store. It is fast, the graphics are crisp, and it looks thoroughly modern. The Tucson, on the other hand, uses a dual-screen setup. You have a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster fused with a 12.3-inch infotainment screen under one single piece of curved glass. It looks very impressive, almost like a BMW setup. The interface is intuitive, the colors are bright, and it supports wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto on all trims. Here is the rub though. Hyundai has moved a lot of the climate controls into a touch capacitive panel. It's not a full screen, you still get some knobs for temperature on the lower trims, but on the higher trims you're tapping a piece of black plastic to turn on your seat heaters. It collects fingerprints and you have to look down to use it. The Mazda, despite the giant new touchscreen, kept the physical controls. You still have real dials for the HVAC, you have real buttons for the heated seats, you can operate the climate control without taking your eyes off the road. However, the Tucson has a better digital gauge cluster. It's more customizable. You can change the themes, you can see your blind spot camera feed right in the circle when you put your turn signal on. That is a feature Mazda still doesn't have. The Mazda gauge cluster is digital now, but it mimics analog dials. It's classy, but it doesn't give you that tech nerd customization that the Tucson does. Also, we have to talk about the shifter. In the 2026 Tucson, the gear selector is moved to the steering column. It's a little twist stalk behind the wheel. This frees up space in the center console, but it feels a bit weird at first. The Mazda keeps a traditional leather-wrapped gear lever in the center. It feels mechanical and satisfying to click into drive. So, technology? The Tucson looks more futuristic with the curved panoramic glass, but the Mazda's new 15.6-inch screen with Google built in is actually the more powerful system, and the retention of physical buttons makes it easier to live with every day. Okay, this is the most important part of the video. This is the controversy I warned you about in the hook. Let's look at the 2026 Hyundai Tucson first. Under the hood, the standard gas model comes with a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine. It produces 187 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. It is paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. Notice I said 8-speed, not a CVT. That's good. But here is the ace up Hyundai's sleeve. You can get the Tucson as a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid right now. The hybrid gives you a 1.6-liter turbo engine paired with an electric motor for a combined 231 horsepower. It is punchy, it's quick off the line, and it gets nearly 38 miles per gallon. Now look at the 2026 Mazda CX-5. Mazda has confirmed that at launch, the 2026 CX-5 will come with a 2.5-liter naturally aspirated four-cylinder. It makes 187 horsepower and 185 pound-feet of torque. It is paired with a 6-speed automatic transmission. Did you catch that? The new, bigger, heavier, more expensive Mazda has the exact same horsepower as the base Hyundai. And here's the kicker. Mazda has dropped the turbo option for the launch of this new generation. The 256 horsepower turbo engine that made the old CX-5 so fun? Gone, at least for now. And the hybrid version? Mazda says it's coming, but not until the 2027 model year. This is a massive problem. The new CX-5 is physically larger and likely heavier than the old one, but it's working with the same 187 horsepower. That means this new luxury SUV is going to be slow. We're talking 0 to 60 in probably 8.5 or 9 seconds. Merging onto the highway is going to require you to floor it. The 6-speed transmission is proven and reliable, but it feels dated compared to the 8-speed in the Hyundai or the instant torque of the Tucson hybrid. The Hyundai Tucson hybrid smokes the 2026 Mazda CX-5 in a straight line. It has more torque, more horsepower, and gets way better gas mileage. The base gas Tucson is comparable to the Mazda. Both are slow, but Hyundai gives you the option to upgrade to the hybrid today. Mazda is telling you to wait a year. If you care about power, passing ability, or fuel economy, the 2026 Mazda CX-5 is a disappointment at launch. It's a beautiful car with a weak heart. The Tucson wins this category purely because it offers a powertrain that actually moves the car with authority. But wait, before you write off the Mazda, we have to talk about how it drives, because numbers on a spreadsheet don't tell the whole story. Mazda engineers are wizards. Even with the underwhelming engine, the chassis of the new CX-5 is brilliant. The suspension geometry has been reworked, they've stiffened the body shell. The steering feel in a Mazda is heavy and precise. When you turn the wheel, the nose of the car points exactly where you want it to go. There is zero dead zone. It feels connected to the road. The Tucson drives fine. It's soft, it floats a little bit over bumps. The steering is light and numb. You can steer it with your pinky finger in a parking lot, which is nice, but at 70 miles per hour, it doesn't give you much confidence. It feels like an appliance. It gets you from point A to point B comfortably, but you will never take the long way home just for fun. The Mazda, despite being slow, handles corners like a sedan. The body roll is controlled, the brake pedal feel is firm and progressive. Mazda also uses G-Vectoring Control Plus, a software system that subtly cuts torque when you turn the wheel to shift weight to the front tires for better grip. You don't feel it working, you just feel like a better driver. Also, sound insulation. The 2026 CX-5 is incredibly quiet. Mazda added extra insulation in the floor and the roof. At highway speeds, the wind noise is almost non-existent. The Tucson is decent, but you definitely hear more road roar and tire noise entering the cabin than you do in the Mazda. So the trade-off is this. The Hyundai Tucson hybrid is faster in a straight line, but the Mazda CX-5 feels more solid, more stable, and more expensive when you're actually driving it. It's the difference between a fast computer and a computer that feels premium to type on. The 2026 Hyundai Tucson has been the cargo king for a while. Behind the rear seats, you get about 38.7 cubic feet of space. Fold those seats down, and it opens up to nearly 74.8 cubic feet. The floor is low and flat, making it easy to load heavy boxes or a big dog crate. It is massive. The old CX-5 was tiny, with only about 30 cubic feet of space. But remember, the new 2026 model is longer. Mazda has addressed this. The new cargo area is wider and deeper. While official cubic footage numbers are still rolling in, early measurements suggest it's now pushing closer to 34 or 35 cubic feet behind the second row. It's a big improvement, but it is still smaller than the Tucson. The Tucson also has a smart liftgate. You just stand behind the car with the key in your pocket for 3 seconds and it opens. You don't have to kick your foot under the bumper like an idiot and hope the sensor works. It just knows you're there. The Mazda has a power liftgate, but you usually have to press a button or use the kick sensor. However, the Mazda has 40-20-40 split folding rear seats. This is a huge deal. It means you can fold down just the middle section to slide in skis or a piece of lumber, and 2 people can still sit comfortably on either side. The Tucson only has a 60-40 split. If you have a long item, you lose one of the rear seats entirely. One more detail: towing. For 2026, Hyundai increased the towing capacity of the gas Tucson to 2,750 pounds if you have trailer brakes. That's specific to the gas model. The hybrid is stuck at 2,000 pounds. The Mazda CX-5 is rated at 2,000 pounds. So strangely, the gas Hyundai is actually the better tow vehicle this year. Winner for practicality? The Tucson. It's just a bigger box. Let's talk money. The 2026 Hyundai Tucson SE, the base model, starts right around $30,800. That gets you the 187 horsepower engine, the screens, and wireless CarPlay. If you want the hybrid, you're looking at starting around $33,800 for the blue trim. The top-of-the-line limited hybrid is going to run you over $43,000. That sounds like a lot, but you get ventilated seats, a surround view camera, and that remote parking feature where the car drives itself into a spot. The Mazda 2026 pricing hasn't been fully released down to the dollar, but we know where it lands. Expect the base 2.5S to start slightly higher than the Hyundai, probably around $31,500. But here's the thing: the base Mazda comes standard with all-wheel drive. On the Hyundai, AWS is usually an extra $1,500 option on the lower gas trims. So when you do the math, they're priced almost identical. However, to get the really nice stuff in the Mazda, the Nappa leather, the 15.6-inch screen, the heads-up display, you have to climb the trim ladder to the premium or signature trims. Those are going to push you well past $40,000. The value proposition is tricky. The Hyundai gives you more features for the money, more tech toys, more cameras, hybrid tech. The Mazda gives you more car for the money, better paint, better leather, better metal, better engineering. So which one is the mistake? If you buy the 2026 Mazda CX-5 expecting a fast, sporty SUV like the old Turbo used to be, you are making a mistake. The decision to launch this new, larger, heavier car with only a 187 horsepower, non-turbo is baffling. It's going to feel underpowered. It's going to be slow. However, if you buy the 2026 Hyundai Tucson thinking it's a luxury car just because it has big screens, you're also making a mistake. It's a budget car dressed up in a fancy suit. The plastic is hard, the road noise is there, and the driving dynamics are boring. Here's the verdict: buy the Hyundai Tucson Hybrid if you need a family workhorse, if you do city driving, if you have 2 kids and a dog, and if you care about saving money on gas, the Tucson is the better package. The hybrid powertrain is superior to Mazda's base engine, period. But buy the 2026 Mazda CX-5 if you want a luxury experience on a budget and you don't care about speed. If you're the type of person who touches the dashboard to see if it's soft, if you appreciate how a door sounds when it closes, and if you want a car that looks like it costs $60,000, get the Mazda. Just understand that until the hybrid arrives in 2027, you're going to be driving the slow lane. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see our full drag race between these two as soon as we get the keys.